just insurance. It's complete, comprehensive health care. The doctors make the difference. Physicians Plus HMO.
Today could be the day you discover gold.
It's the mother lode.
Shep's Gold Top Premium.
This is mine.
Living Well has a holiday shape-up special just for you. Call now and get started for only $20 down and $13.05 a month. Hurry, this offer will end soon. Don't miss out.
WISC Madison, your news station. With anchors Ted O'Connell and John Karcher on news. Meteorologist Dana Tyler brings you the weather, and Van Stout covers sports. This is WISC News 3.
Good evening. John Karcher's off tonight. The push to require seatbelt use in Wisconsin may be coming unbuckled.
Mark, a mandatory seatbelt bill is still alive, but the state Senate dealt it a damaging blow today by refusing to go along with changes the Assembly wants. The story from News 3's Bill Groff.
After more than 2 weeks of public pressure and behind-the-scenes lobbying, seatbelt supporters were devastated today. The Senate refused to go along with some of the Assembly's main demands, including a 10% reduction in car insurance rates.
It's just not right for us to be sticking our nose into private enterprise in that fashion. You know, the next thing you know, we'll say, well, we'll take over all insurance in the state of Wisconsin.
They're the ones who claim that we'll have some savings, and I guess I agree with the Assembly that there ought to be some recognition of that in the bill, and that's why I think I've offered a reasonable middle ground.
Insurance companies say if more people use seat belts, they'll have to pay out fewer claims for serious injuries, but they're not willing to guarantee that lower rates would result.
There are multiple factors that go into the determination of insurance rates. To isolate seat belts as a singular item is very, very, very difficult.
Not only did the Senate refuse to require lower insurance rates, it also exempted more drivers from wearing seat belts and refused to automatically cancel the law if the federal government uses it to justify dropping its airbag requirement for automakers. That may be more changes than the Assembly, which only passed the bill by 1 vote, is willing to take.
It's very doubtful. So the final composition of the bill at this point, you might as well throw a bunch of confetti up in the air and see what comes down, because that's really what we're talking about here, not good public policy.
Time is quickly running out to settle such a controversial issue before the fall session ends next week. And the battle-weary seatbelt coalition is already talking about the need to regroup and fight this battle again next year. Bill Groff, WISC News 3, the state capitol.
The legislature may well yet move our presidential primary back a couple of months, but if that occurs, it won't be until 1992. The Assembly today decided to reconsider a vote which last week killed attempts to roll back next year's primary from April to March. Proponents of the earlier primary say it would make Wisconsin more attractive to national candidates and to national media. State employees have moved a step closer to their biannual big check. The Assembly has ratified a new 2-year contract. That leaves the Senate, then the governor, then the larger-than-usual check will arrive. And every time the state and the WSEU bargain, things get delayed, then retroactivity comes into play. As usual, when the increased pay scale kicks in, it'll be retroactive to July.
Yet another overnight house fire in that same Milwaukee neighborhood where 18 people have died in fires over the last 3 weeks. This blaze on North 13th Street on Milwaukee's near north side left the home in ruin, but its residents escaped without injury. 14 people were inside. Some jumped from upstairs windows into the arms of neighbors. It is only 12 acres, most of it's marsh, but it is 12 acres of marsh no developer will ever touch.
Ted, officials of the Dane County Natural Heritage Foundation hope what happens south of McFarland today will set a precedent for much more to come. We get the story now from News 3's Joel Despain.
The wetlands of Lower Mud Lake are some of the last resting and feeding places in southern Wisconsin for migrating geese. From this day forward, this 12-acre spot will be protected by law. At a state capitol ceremony, its owner signed a conservation easement agreement with the Dane County Natural Heritage Foundation.
Wetlands, contrary to the belief of many, are not an enemy, a wasteland, something to be attacked and conquered with dragline and bucket and drain tiles are filled in. They are oases of diverse life.
The 4-year-old Natural Heritage Foundation is dedicated to preserving Dane County's important conservation areas. Easements with people like Mike and Lynn McLean are important tools to that end, since the agreements prohibit land from ever being developed.
It's a relatively new approach to conservation. It's one that's especially effective for private conservation organizations because there's nothing mandatory about it. It doesn't operate by government regulation or order. It involves voluntary arrangements with landowners.
The McLean's new home will look out over the new refuge.
What we're really doing, in essence, is guaranteeing that any other resident of this piece of property will respect it the way that we would naturally.
I feel like it's a gift to our children and to future generations, and what better gift can you give?
Can you give, says McLean, than a natural playground that her children can in turn pass on to succeeding generations? Joel Despain, WISC News 3, Lower Mud Lake.
Coming up on News 3, when they went to the videotape, they say they saw the mother strangling her son.
Some banks think they offer the best deal on a MasterCard or Visa because they charge 21% interest, while others feel they offer the best MasterCard or Visa because they charge only 18%.